UFC Phoenix, we're on the cusp of what is a fabulous card, and we have Olympic gold medalist Henry Cejudo, of course, and a guy now that is making his mark in UFC, and his trainer, Roland Silaraup. And let's first talk about the challenge of going from an Olympic champion to a UFC fighter, Henry.
Yeah, I think it's, a lot of people, I always get asked that question. I think it's very similar. I think the difference is between training for the Olympics and training for a UFC title is now you get hit. In wrestling, you get stuck or you get pinned or you lose a match, but in fighting, it's a little more brutal. So there's a little more aspects to MMA than just Olympic wrestling, which I still do believe that Olympic wrestling is still it's a little harder to compete, a little harder, but it's probably a lot harder to win something like the Olympic Games. But the sport of mixed martial arts is very brutal.
It is brutal. It's violent, and Roland, you've been around it for a long time. How do you prepare a young guy like Henry to make the transition from wrestling to UFC?
First, I want to say that I actually really like to work with the wrestlers, I think, because of their work ethic. A lot of other people who come from the different styles just don't have that work ethic. The wrestlers really work hard. They come in and they work hard really every day. And what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to actually not just to focus on maybe adding a couple styles, try to make him well-rounded. Well-rounded, of course, is the most important thing in a fighting sports. But instead of trying to focus on the styles, I'm trying to take out the different techniques that work and blend them together in personal style, what would be good for Henry to use it.
Now, we see, of course, the workouts at Fight Ready Gym, and there's a number of talented fighters, Frankie Saenz, Ramon Salazar, of course, Henry Cejudo, Seth Paczynski, and I look at this and I say, man, this sport continues to grow leaps and bounds. It's becoming extremely popular. I mean, you're getting more notoriety maybe in UFC than you did with the Olympics.
Yeah, it's amazing how fast this sport has developed, and not just through publicity, but just through the sport has evolved. It's not styles versus styles no more. It's us at Fight Ready with Roland and Tommy Ortiz, we work a lot on mixing everything together. It's not karate versus boxing. It's not wrestling versus judo no more. It's everybody has come. It's come to a point where people are taking people down and striking, letting go, and kicking, and it's just it's literally somewhat a very organized. You can call it a street fight because everybody knows a little bit of everything.
Philosophy in training, what do you adhere to? Because you come from a mixed background of so many different mixed martial arts.
Yes, the philosophy is just like Henry said. It's a lot. I'd say it's a true form of combat. There's of course some techniques that might not be allowed in the UFC that you can still use on the street. But I have to say, there's a very, very minimal. There really is not that much of a difference. The only thing we can say that's different is that there's a referee that can stop the fight, and it's safe. Mixed martial arts have proven to be safe. There's really not that, especially head injuries. There's not that many head injuries in mixed martial arts. Other than that, the techniques that you can use, they are extremely effective in any situation. As you can see, lately even the U.S. military have looked in a mixed martial arts, and they're using it to prepare the soldiers for the combat.
Henry, what does it mean for you to fight in front of your home crowd?
Man, to me, it means everything. I had the opportunity to fight in Mexico City or here in Phoenix, and my family's from Mexico City. Probably the majority of my family, both dad and mother's family, is Mexico City, and I just couldn't do it. I had to be picked between Mexico City and here, and I was raised here in Phoenix, and I'm just excited to fight again. December 13th, I'll be ready, and I hope my opponent's ready too.
Roland, I think you're one of the best trainers in the world, but I'm curious about the psychological coaching you give a fighter moments before the fight. What do you do to keep them calm, to not get too excited, but to stay poised? What is your advice for Henry?
It's actually quite challenging because everybody's a little bit different. You just it's different. It's on a personal level. Every person is different. So I'm going to have to say I have a different approach to everybody.
You match it up to where that fighter is at in the environment and the setting.
Yeah.
You adjust as appropriate.
Yeah. It's actually for me, and I know this may sound weird, but I like to relax. I don't know if you've ever seen Fedor Emelianenko fight. Very the way he just, his demeanor, he's just very calm, very slow about things. That's kind of like my style. And then once you get in the cage, I tend to explode. I mean, if you, like Roland said, every fighter's different. Like, I like to listen to romantic music before I fight.
Take it down a bit. Yeah, a little bit. That's wild.
Yeah, it's like soothing, so it kind of relaxes me rather than probably the whole heavy metal sense that majority of fighters listen to.
Well, this is a fabulous card, and maybe a final thought. These are some tremendous fighters, including the two big heavyweights, Dos Santos and Miocic. This is going to be quite a night in Phoenix. Yeah,
this is a great card. That's one of the rare cards. Everybody needs to watch it. You know, it's awesome card.
Yeah, it is, and I think we're all anticipating the home right here on Fox 10. Henry, wish you the best. I know how hard you worked this time around, and Roland, with your guidance and direction, this should be a very entertaining, dramatic night. UFC Phoenix, of course, right here, coming up this Saturday on Fox 10.